All right. Good morning, everybody. This is On the Fly with Kai. Today is Thursday, July 8th. I think I say that every time. Dang, it's taken going so fast. So one half of 2021 gone. But we're here every single Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we bring to you incredible entrepreneurs that have great tips, tricks, and hacks to really just help shorten your learning curve. Or if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, what does it take to be able to do that? And today, I'm so excited. I have one of my absolute besties. We went to college together. We met my second year at 19 years old. And we both did the traditional, go to school, get good grades. Trust me, she got way better grades than I did. And went out and did the job thing. And then here we are, I'm not going to tell you how many years later, but we're both now entrepreneurs. And it was just kind of fun to see us go and do this whole thing. And I just love it. So welcome Harmony Joy Susualla from Harmony Art Organics. Yay! I love you, woman. Love you. Hey, and I know we're excited to have you today. And so I'm going to ask you some questions. And this is going to be fun and easy because I've known you since I was 19. It's crazy. I've known you longer than my husband. That's crazy. So I want to know, you had a great, tell us your journey, because you had a great career in San Francisco in the financial district where it's like, wow, you had arrived. That was big time. We were all just like, dang, Harmony, that's pretty good. Right. And then you went from there to going, what in the world am I doing, to getting your creative on. And then you arrived there. So anything you've ever done, you've done it crazy, straight A's, financial district, then, accelerated school for design school. And then you just went out and got these killer design jobs. And then you went on your own. I'm like, wow, just tell us your progression, because everything you've done, you don't do it any halfway. That's for sure.
Well, thank you for having me, Kai. It's always good to see your face. And it is fun that we have had, we've watched each other grow up, basically, both personally and job-wise. And It is fun that we have sort of parallel but different lives. I did end up going into textile design and worked for other people as a designer for years and loved it. My last job for someone else was designing bedding for all the big box places, Walmart, Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, Linens and things, you name it. I probably had a bed in their store at that time. And one day I was walking in Walmart, because you're supposed to go trend shopping to see what they have on the store, what is missing, what should we focus on next? And lo and behold, I just saw this glacial size flow of landfill. I was, all of those checkouts and people lined up with their carts. And it just hit me that I make pretty landfill for a living, that this stuff was poorly made, cheaply made, and that it was going to then get discarded, and who knows how it got made and under what circumstances. And so I thought, I got to do something more meaningful with my life. Although I love it, I can't live with the knowledge that I make pretty landfill. So anyway, I tried to pitch it to the company, and that was relatively successful, but ultimately it was moving too slow. So I was like, it was like killing me inside. So I eventually just threw caution to the wind. And well, first I tried to get a job designing for an organic cotton company, and they didn't really exist. The only company that was doing printed organic cotton was Patagonia, and they were in LA, and I was not moving to LA for a job. So I thought, well, if it doesn't exist, I guess I have to make it. So that was, that's what I did. It took 8 months to find a printer and get our first fabrics printed on organic cotton in South Carolina. And here we are 16 years later. And now the industry is, I've gotten to watch it just, I'm not the only person doing it. I was at one time. Now they're everywhere. And it's been fun to be a small little spark in a growing movement. And
truly you're a pioneer. I'm not sure why echoing. This wasn't doing this before. Are we good?
I can't hear it. Sounds fine to me.
Okay, so it's on my end then. But truly you were a pioneer. And so I always say that like, I've done my little stunt in being my solopreneur, creating all the systems and all the whatever. But I mean, like I was in, dabbled in insurance, right? So it wasn't like a space that wasn't even created before. And now I'm in a complete plug and play where all I have to do is put my energy contacts into their system. They do all the marketing, all the, heavy lifting and being a pioneer. So you were a pioneer in a profession that didn't exist. You are a pioneer being a new business owner. What in the world? How did you do it? Like, I'm sure, what was your biggest adversity and what kept you going, even though, you were reinventing the wheel pretty much?
It's interesting. It was so exciting at that moment in time. I can vividly remember those first couple years where I couldn't wait to get up in the morning to see who had found me and what the questions they had and how to promote my business. And it was exciting. It was exhilarating. It was fun, and it was hard. But I really felt good about what I was doing. And I honestly, I went from working with the biggest companies in the world in textiles to literally the smallest companies in the world. A lot of individual, mothers, not all, a lot of them are women-owned businesses, frankly. A lot
I
of
love
baby
that.
products were looking at organic stuff. Initially, they were the first adopters. And so it was so fun to go from being a number on a spreadsheet that nobody knew and nobody cared about and could easily, like, if Walmart can save a penny, they'll save a penny and you're gone. They don't care that this is your life and your livelihood. You're expendable. It's all about the mighty dollar. So to go from being that to being, friends like you. I mean, there's people that I've known since the beginning that I've watched now get married, have kids, lose family members, the whole thing. And so I've gotten to know people. I've gotten to enjoy the journey. And even the people that have gone in and been what you would call competitors, I always called colleagues, because my goal is to take a toxic industry and make it sustainable. And that doesn't happen with one person alone in the woods on the coast. That requires a global shift. And so it's always been, that's helped me keep my head on straight and not worry about competition and just promote everybody as much as I can and know that it's for a greater good than my business. And if I can be in business and create the life, that's what it's all about.
There were so many lessons in there. One is if you feel like, I kind of like in recruiting, I don't know if you remember when I was recruiting, I felt like I was going to go to hell because like if you didn't look good, if your English wasn't perfect, I couldn't make money off you. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. And that's really when I left, was that same kind of like, oh, wow, this is a shift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore. I mean, I like every project, once I made the decision I needed to make this change, every project was like, I felt like it was killing me inside. One more decorative pillow project that I had no control over, or and someone I know sitting next to me has a lot of my artwork still, just to out you on that.
Oh, I love it. Yes. No, I have it all over and we decorated our center with it and whatnot. Because I think so the second lesson I learned in this, if you don't like what you're doing, get out, find your passion, and it makes it easy to do. I mean, it was easy to take all the punches when you're there. And then the third lesson I got from that was just how abundance mentality. I mean, I think it's more cooperation than it is and collaboration than it is competition. And I appreciate that because you can't do things alone. You can't change the world alone. So you need people, you need a movement. And that's why I love what I do, the social justice thing. That's why you love what you do. It's a movement. It really is. It's a movement. So I know that I interview a lot of business owners and some of them I think, wow, that is a heavy duty commitment. Like, if you're not there, you run a daycare if you run a restaurant, right? If you're not there, your business doesn't run because you got to manage every little tiny piece of it. And you and I both decided that we wanted a business where it could run without us if we wanted it to. And I don't have any other truly real friends like that have created a business like you've done from scratch. That wow, because the same wind's going to blow us on us all. We've all had health challenges. We've all had family members, like mine passed away, or you've had family members who've been ill. But you've been able to build a business that you could leave. Like you left for weeks at a time, ran it even before the pandemic from your phone. You know what I mean? So tell us about, was that by design? How did you do that? I've always just been in awe of that. Not very many people can do that.
It's funny. It wasn't by design. I mean, part of why I left the design firm I worked for is just I was getting paid a salary, and it was a good salary. I was paid very well. But at the end of the day, I designed the best-selling bed in Walmart history at that time.
Yeah.
And if I had
Wait,
gotten,
which one was it? Was it the lips?
no, it was called Vertigo, and it was the tween bedding. It was colors inside colors, squares. I can show it to you sometime.
Cool. I'll see it next time. Okay.
If I had just gotten one little piece of that pie, I could probably have retired then and there. And so when I started my own company, I'm like, I'm never going to just give my artwork away. I don't want to get paid once. I want to get paid if it does well. And that has been both a blessing and a curse, I have to be honest, because I don't make the residuals that, when you have your stuff in a big box. But what it also has allowed me to do is take control over what I do have control over. And so my business is structured so that retailers are selling my fabric, and so when my fabric sells, I get a piece of that, and I don't really have to do anything for that. They're selling it, and then they're paying me, and it works for everybody because they don't have to come up with the money up front, most of them, and so they can. It's easy to get my foot in the door, and then they take care of the sales, and then I get to reap the reward. And now if it's a wholesale customer, they come to me and I have a personal relationship. And if I'm going out of town, I let them know, and then they can plan accordingly. So it's worked really well. I have to say, number one, I had to reassess, what does success looks like? That was one of my main lessons in the first few years is it about the dollar? And for me, I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated by helping make the world a better place and having a life that is what I want to do with it, what I make it. I want to be able to hike. I want to be able to take care of family when I need to. And so that is way more important to me than the dollars. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, defining what does success look like. And to me, success is freedom. It's the freedom to be where I want to be when I want to be there, and not have to ask permission or have it be a hardship to do that. And that I have definitely in spades. Sometimes I feel guilty because I have so much. I feel like I have so much.
Well, and I agree with that. Like, I've never gotten back up to where my multiple six figures was when my soul sucking career.
Right.
But I can, like, you came over yesterday from, up north, and I could take 72 minutes. I'm just kidding. We could take some time and do whatever we wanted, right? That morning I spent, getting some stuff for us. So I like that too. I wanted a business where, I could do what I wanted to do when I needed to do without having to worry about the business going out of business. For sure.
Well, and having a life is priceless, because this is our life and we're living it. And if it's a grind of something that you don't enjoy doing, that doesn't fulfill you, but wow, I have as Seuss, like my husband likes to call it, money is numbers on a page. It's just numbers on a page. It's not fulfilling me in any way, shape, or form. But to be able to, like, after this, I'm going hiking, and I go hiking for inspiration for my designs instead of going to Walmart to just or shopping, to go trend shopping. I go trend hiking, and I look for inspiration around me, and that just is so much more fulfilling.
You just gave me goosebumps. I know you're working hard on those hikes. I know. So, but I love it. You really have created an incredible lifestyle. And we talked about, when you're looking at, maybe you're brand new to being an entrepreneur and you're really making an evaluation of, what do I want to do? I see people that are like, oh, I really like cookies. I'm going to make cookies for a living. I'm like, oh man. Right. So talk about the difference between, how you alluded to the inventory versus service. Cause I think it's a big determination you want to think about.
It's huge. And I often say that when I went into, when I started Harmony Art, I had an abundance of ignorance and confidence. And I think sometimes that's what you need for success. But the things I wish I had known in advance are that I was in the service industry. I was a designer. I got paid to design. There's no cost associated with designing. You need a computer. Okay, you need a little bit of money to start up. But after that, it's just your time. But when you go from that to an inventory business, now you got to pay to have this stuff produced. And if you're successful, you got to produce twice as much. So you need twice as much money. So until you stop growing your business, it costs you money, like more money every time. So I had no business going into business because I didn't take one business class in college. I knew nothing about business. It was like, oh, I'll just figure it out by the seat of my pants. And I say I got my MBA, the hard way by actually doing it. But so service is much more easy financially speaking. There's just isn't the trying to predict how much is going to sell, how quickly is it going to sell. I mean, the lead time on my fabrics, it can be upwards of a year. I've waited 2 years for fabrics. So trying to predict how much are you going to need 2 years from now on a fabric that hasn't even come out yet, it's really tough. And now your capital, your money is getting sucked in there and stuck there. So service is a much simpler, much financially simpler way to be making a living. Inventory is tough. I just have to say that. I'm at the point where I'm not really growing my business. I'm more at sustaining it, so it's easier. But that was a tough pill to swallow. That my business was doing this, and all of the money is getting poured back in. So I'm seeing none of it, even though it's growing. And you're still paying taxes, even though you're not making a penny. I mean, I put every dime I made back into the business for the first 8 years. But the government gets their cut. It was a hard pill to swallow. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Wow. I'm just amazed that you made it. And you brought up some other thing, like just kind of being ignorance on fire sometimes. Is a great prerequisite, because then you're just going to keep going. It's when you're not like that and you're too calculated, you'll quit.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I learned a lot of lessons the hard way, but I have one fabric that a customer who went on Shark Tank, wanted. And so I had it produced, and then they got offers on Shark Tank and turned them down. And then they went out of business, and I got left holding the fabric bag. And now I require 50% of the money up front. I don't give any favors to people. It's like, nope, if I'm going to do this, you're going to pay me 50% up front. And now when I look at that fabric, I still have it. This is like, I'm not kidding you, like probably 10 years later, I still have that fabric, and it kind of haunts me. But last year I donated it to making masks. And it was like this shift from this thing that just would make me mad every time I saw it to being like, okay, it's doing something good. This is giving me an opportunity to give back in a different way. So.
Yeah, I love that your giving heart too, because I think that's part of why you're so successful is looking at the mission all the time and how can I give as opposed to how can I take. And I love that about you. And I love that your clients are your friends and your family, and that's awesome. So let me ask you a couple other questions. So you did all the marketing, right? I mean, you didn't hire anybody to do all that. You do your own website. How in the world do you find the time to do that? And what would you recommend somebody who's just starting off in not a plug and play, not a, like that, just what are some great basics that they need to do and know?
Well, my first website, I'm on my second iteration of it. I did hire somebody to help me with. And now that was, 16 years ago. Now there's so many platforms that allow you to use their templates, and that's just so much easier. I mean, they've made web design for the idiot, the non-web developer, so much easier than it used to be. So I would say, number one, use something that already exists. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Also know what you're good at and what you're not good at, and focus on what A, you're good at, and B, you enjoy doing. Because if you're not good at it and you don't enjoy doing it, you won't do it. And there's always more you can do when you own your own business. So that's why knowing what's important to you, what you're good at, and then focusing your energy on that. And then the other thing is collaboration. Like for marketing, I promote the companies that use my fabrics. I ask them to promote me back. I don't require it of them, but I'll always ask, will you put a link from your page? And then I did my own press release. I'd never done a press release. I talked to a friend who is a professional marketer and got some tips from them. And then I just sent it out with abandon. But you have to have something to say, because you want to be getting people's attention with something they want to hear. And I was lucky because what I was doing was unique and it was timely. So people were looking for stories about sustainable businesses. And at that time, I had to try to convince people that sustainability was important. Now, it's no longer. It's mainstream, which
wow, it's so crazy. No wonder we're besties, because like, I mean, everything you just said, like I always say, if it doesn't make your heart sing or it doesn't make you money, hire it out. Like you can't afford not to, right? I mean, I loved that. I also loved that, like, I think you and I've talked about this before, like we're never done for the day. Like we didn't like finish everything. We just quit for the day. Like, okay, that's it, uncle.
Well, and that was hard for me because, as you said, I was that straight A student that didn't go out and play until I got all my work done. I was that like checklist, get it done, then play person. And you can't. You physically, mentally, in every way, if you own your own business, you cannot wait until the checklist is done to go play, because you will never play.
And how long is your checklist right now? I mean, like mine's like,
well, yes, definitely. Well, there's just always more. You can always be doing more. So having goals that are obtainable and timely and holding yourself to them, prioritizing and then actually doing them is important, because I'll notice that there's things that just never make it to the top of the list, and you have to start wondering why. Okay, why is this not making it? And if it's not, do I need it? Because it's haunting me, and making a decision to take it off your list, or like you said, outsource it to someone else. But if it's important and you're ignoring it, that's not a good
reason why. I mean, that is so poignant. And I think most entrepreneurs struggle with that. Especially if they're a little OCD like I am, like I like everything perfect and, blah, blah, blah. And it's messy. There's no other way to put it. Being an entrepreneur is freaking messy. There's no end to it. But damn, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
I love it. You also talked about collaboration, and I appreciated that more than you know, because this is a form of collaboration. I love my peeps and people that I know. So I love to share them with my tribe, because it's awesome. So I love that. And you also talked about, press releases. And you and I did not do a lot of like creative writing in college. We didn't study that. I wish that was one thing I wish I would have done more of, especially in this world we live in today, is done more like writing classes. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a tough one. Like captions and writing and all that is really tough. So I think anything else you want to add to that? Because that's a very interesting conversation right there on that.
Well, what I found is like, you're good at this, but I'm not. The whole like social media marketing stuff, just that does not make my heart sing at all. I actually kind of can't barely stand it. I feel like Facebook in my world is a necessary evil. And last year, or maybe it was the year before, I ended up getting a brand ambassador. So that's someone that I send the fabric to, and once a month she makes something out of it. She gets my fabric for free, and then she likes to do social media and she likes to promote that stuff. So it's a win-win for her. She gets the fabric and gets to talk about it, and I get the promotion without actually having to A, sew, or B, promote, which that's the other secret, dirty little secret, is I have a fabric business and I don't sew.
Okay, that is funny.
But I leave it to people who like to, that's the thing. Find out what you do. I love to design. So, and I don't get to do as much of it because, as I said, I have to bankroll every time I print something, and that's not cheap. But it is fun, and I do enjoy it, and I like co-creating is the best part of it. I work from home. I've worked from home now for 16 years. And, so being able to watch someone else's vision come to life and to help them do it it's fun.
It is fun, and that is funny that I didn't really think about that, but you could still own a sports team and never have played football. You know what I mean? Like, I
Good
think
point. Good point. You're right.
not required, right, to be successful. And then I know you've mentioned this a little bit, but like we talked a little bit this morning before we got on here. Is like, what do you wish knew back then? Is there anything else you wanted to add on that? Because I think that's a really good question. What is yourself today if they could go back and tell their other self, hey, warning, warning, abort?
Yeah, that there's just so many lessons you learn the hard way. And I think for me, the big one was the inventory, the financial expectations of running an inventory business. I wish I had had my head wrapped around it. But honestly, if I had known, I probably wouldn't have done it. So maybe it was good that I didn't know and I found out the hard way. And then just like, as much as you want to be good and friendly and kind, and I am there, watch for red flags, and if you see them, don't ignore them with customers. And if you have a customer that's high maintenance or driving you crazy, you know don't waste your time, because if it's not a match, it's not a match. And don't knock yourself out trying to put a round peg in a square hole. I'm constantly referring people to other places, because that's not my forte. And yeah, I may be passing up their business, but I'm also not stretching myself too thin. And never, I've always been an under promise, over deliver person. And I think in business, that's critical too, because the second you over promise and under deliver, now you've got an unhappy person. And I'm really big into communication. I let my customers know, okay, there's a hiccup. Okay, now there's another delay, so that they can plan accordingly. And it builds a rapport. And it's okay to say, I don't know, or I screwed up, or this isn't right. And being willing to stand behind it and make adjustments has been, you actually gain a more loyal customer when you're honest, admit your mistakes, and make it right, than you do if they have no problem with you. So that has happened from time to time, of just having to be really admit something isn't quite right, but do what you can to make the situation right.
I love that. And I think giving people permission to fire a client, you don't need everybody, is great advice. And I loved that, I'm a big fan of Brene Brown. I love her vulnerability, authenticity, and you epitomize that as well. And I think old school, right? You think of the like Glengarry, Glenn Ross, the, financial district and all that stuff, where everyone just, hard hitting, you lie, it doesn't work anymore. Nobody believes that crap anyway. And if it smells like poo and looks like poo, it's probably poo, right? So, I mean, I think people really appreciate just like, hey, I had a client that said, hey, can it do this? And, with my service. And I said, I don't know. So if you don't see the value in all the other parts of it, I wouldn't get it. Don't buy it, because I can't guarantee it's going to work in that one situation. And I think people appreciate that. Like, I'd rather have somebody that's happy than somebody that bought something and it didn't do what it was supposed to do. And I kind of knew it wasn't going to do that. I'd rather just be totally, totally upfront. And I love that about you too. It's awesome. In closing, are there any, comments? I'm going to put how to get in touch with you here, but are there any last minute words that you think of that would really help? Because it's tips, tricks, and hacks for entrepreneurs, or anything else that we didn't hit on that you were like, what, I'd love to just share this last little thought. Anything last thoughts?
Well, as you were talking a second ago, it made me think of my mentor when I was in the financial district, and it was a securities investments firm. And he used to say, we're not in the securities business, we're in the relationship business. And every business is the relationship business. It doesn't matter what you do. And I think just realizing that and living your business and your life in a way you want to be is my best advice. Is just, how do you want to be treated? How would you want to, if you were in the situation, and just being that, and paying attention to your choices that you make. I mean, that's really my life lesson has been, you vote with your dollars every day. So what do you want your choices to be? What do you want your world to be surrounded with, and what do you want to make your life? And your
Yeah.
choice of business and what you do is making your life. I mean, that's this, we spend more time at work than we do with our families. So, you know.
And I think, like, in corporate, there's a real separation between what you do and who you are. And that just didn't jive with me. And I like that who we are is what we do and vice versa now. I think that's a good way to be, as opposed to being two separate people, one that goes to work and one that's at home. Now it's all the same mishmash together. Yes.
Yeah, even non-entrepreneurs now have life and work going. "Whoa." So yeah, I feel like we're really lucky.
Yeah, because everything's so transparent now. You know what I mean? It's hard to be a hider anymore. So I appreciate that as well. Well, if people wanted to engage in, because I could talk to you forever, quite honestly, but I know you got to go on a hike, and this is a 30-minute show. But if people want to engage with you, I'm going to put your email. I just put it in the chat, so it'll be on there. But if people want to engage with you, where do they find you? Any ways to engage with you other than just your email, or anything else you want to share about how to get in touch with you?
Well, my website is harmonyart.com. And so that's where they can find out about our fabrics. And I also run a Facebook group called Kindness Revolution, that just is about sharing good stories and being kind whenever possible, and that it's always possible. So that's just sort of my side. That's what I do for fun.
This is what I do for fun, right? So there you go. So I put Facebook group Kindness Revolution, and if they want more information, they can email you and chat you. Well, I love you. I adore you, and thanks for seeing me yesterday and being on the show today. I know it wasn't easy. Appreciate you. So, hey everyone, I just want to say thank you again to Harmony Joy Susualla. If you haven't seen her website, go check it out. She's got some amazing organic fabrics for all those folks out there that are looking to do that. And with that, we're going to see you next week. Next week's going to be a little bit different show. I'm going to be in Mexico on what is it called? An incentive trip with a bunch of people I work with. So we're going to have some tips, tricks, and hacks from entrepreneurs on the beach out there in Mexico, interviewing some of my colleagues. So with that, I will see you guys next week. Take care, take charge. We'll see you over the top. Bye-bye.